So today I'm going to show you something that I've neglected to show despite knowing it this entire time, and despite it being repeatedly in my face. For some reason I have continuously forgotten to show why Michelle Trachtenberg was picked to play the key. Now first I want to remind you that from Michelle Trachtenberg's death to the 84-year anniversary of Pearl Harbor was exactly 9 months and 11 days. 40 weeks, 4 days, your 44 kill number. But for some reason, I have forgotten to show how important this 284 is. Because Michelle Trachtenberg was born October 11th, 1985. And guess what day October 11th is? The 284th day of the year. So not only did she die 9 months and 11 days before the 84-year anniversary of Pearl Harbor, but the days add up to her birth date, the 284th day of the year. Now, how absolutely impossible is that? And I've told you how connected Michelle Trachtenberg is to the towers because of the gift, the tower sacrifice episode. But yeah, it's been in my face this entire time, and for some reason I forgot to tell you that she was born on the 284th day of the year. But it's pure and utter insanity. And I also want you to see that on October 11th, 81 days remain until the end of the year. Do you remember what the 81st day of the year is? Exactly. March 22nd, 322 Skull and Bones is the 81st day of the year, with 284 days remaining until the end of the year. And Michelle Trachtenberg, born on 10/11, the 284th day of the year, which leaves 81 days remaining in the year, which means Michelle Trachtenberg was born on 322's reverse date. And again, I cannot stress enough the importance of going from her death date to the 84-year anniversary of Pearl Harbor being 284, and her birthday being the 284th day of the year. Also 9 months, 11 days. That is absolute, pure insanity. And since this was the 84th year anniversary of Pearl Harbor, this can also be read as 284, as in you're going to the 84-year anniversary. There's a reason I talk about Michelle Trachtenberg so much. Now, continuing on about why she was chosen to play the key to hell. Going from 9/11/2001 to her death date, 8,569 days. 8 times 5 times 6 times 9 equals 2,160. That is your 21684 number, because you would drop the 0, but guess what? It's also your 162611 number, because 160 plus 2 is 162. So going from 9/11/01 to her death date and multiplying the numbers gives you both your 21684 and your 162,611 together. And even if you want to multiply 85 times 69, it's important because you get 5865. 8 plus 6 plus 5 is 19, 519. And 519 is the 421st composite. That's the Seattle Space Needle's opening date, April 21st. And if you want to go ahead and include the end date, 8570 days, 8 plus 5 is 13, 7 plus 0 is 7, 137, that huge occultic 33rd prime. And 23 plus 5 plus 16 is 44, the kill number. And I want you to get a look of how long it is from 9/11/2001 to 2/26 this year. Exactly 24 years, 24 weeks. Twin 24s, or backwards 42s. Of course, 24 plus 24 is 48, and 42 plus 42 is 84. And that is normalized to 24 years, 168 days. Remember that the 168 composite is 216.84. And don't forget that the original World Trade Center bombing in 1993 was on 2/26. If we go from Michelle's birthday in 1985 to 9/11/01, it's 5,814 days. Remember that 8/14 is the 226th day of the year, and Michelle died on 2/26. Also, 5 plus 8 is 13, 4 plus 1 is 5, 135. And 135 is the 102nd composite. Shannon Doherty, born on the 102nd day of the year, 10/2, the Donnie Darko prophecy date. And of course, Shannon Doherty connects heavily to Michelle Trachtenberg. Both worked for the WB. Also, 581 plus 4 would be 585. The 585th composite number is 713, the date Shannon Doherty died, the date of Trump's ear clip. And remember that Shannon Doherty died exactly 7 months and 13 days before Michelle Trachtenberg died, and Shannon died on 7/13. It was also 228 days before Michelle Trachtenberg died. Elvis died on the 228th day of the year. So yes, Michelle and Shannon very heavily connected. And remember all the 26 codes surrounding Michelle Trachtenberg. That's how I found that January 1st, 2026 was the 91,126th day since the U.S. became a country. 9/11/26 on the very start of 2026. Here we have 15 years, 11 months. She was born before 9/11. 15 plus 11, of course, being 26, pointing to the year 2026. And remember that the 26th composite number is 39. Michelle Trachtenberg died at the age of 39. It was also exactly 191 months from her birth to the towers coming down, which is your 9/11 numbers. And any guesses as to what 15 times 11 equals? 165. Donald Trump born on the 165th day of the year. Now, we already saw how incredible the numbers were going from Michelle Trachtenberg's death date to the 84-year anniversary of Pearl Harbor. How about from her birth? 14,667 days. 4 plus 1 is 5, 6 plus 6 plus 7 is 19. You're 519 yet again. Remember 519, the 421st composite. Seattle Space Needle opened on 421. 40 plus 1 plus 26 is your 67 Elvis Jesse Water number. And 481 plus 26 is 507. Michelle Trachtenberg died on the 57th day of the year. And remember that this is going from her birth date to the 84-year anniversary of Pearl Harbor. And 5/7, May 7th, is the 127th day of the year. Seattle Slew died on 5/7. And while all of that should be damning enough as to why they chose Michelle Trachtenberg to play Dawn, the key to the hell portal, who was to be sacrificed atop the tower by the hell goddess Glory, here is the true key and the true answer as to why they chose her. The main reason. Because if you go from the start of the year, which is New Year's Eve, to Michelle Trachtenberg's birth date is exactly 284 days, because Michelle Trachtenberg's birthday is the 284th day of the year. But more importantly, from the start of the year to her birthday is 9 months and 11 days. And remember that that is the exact amount of time it is from her death date to the Pearl Harbor date. And thus there you have the reason Michelle Trachtenberg was chosen to play the key. Her birthday is 9 months and 11 days into the year. And then they killed her 9 months and 11 days before Pearl Harbor's 84-year anniversary. And again, it's like a bit of a riddle. 284 to the 84-year anniversary of Pearl Harbor. And again, she is known as the key. Check out the numbers in Gematria for the key. 7-4. What's this year all about with the 250th anniversary of the country? Your 88 Trump portal infinity number. Michelle was the key to the hell portal. Our big 444, which of course is half of our 888 beast system number. The beast, Glory, wanted to use the key to open the hell portal. We have our 528 twice, including in Latin, the hardest cipher to find matches in. 528 is my birth date, but it's also fictional character Donnie Darko's birth date, and that movie was all about portals as well. And can you believe down here in the Satanic Cipher, 284, what have I been saying? Michelle Trachtenberg, the key, born on the 284th day of the year, 9 months, 11 days into the year. And don't forget that 284 is the 222nd composite, our order out of chaos, as above, so below number. And remember that the 29th prime number is 109, or 10-9, Yale Skull and Bones founding date. Remember, Michelle's birth date is the reverse date of 322. 29th composite is also 44, the kill number. Include her character name, get your backwards 611 and your 44 kill number. Or upside down 911, of course. I also wanted to quickly mention that they cannot fight Glory since she is a goddess. So they have to use special tools to combat her. At one point they use a wrecking ball, which I've mentioned in past videos, but they also include a hammer, which is the main weapon used against her. Look what Glory hammer equals in reverse. Your 162611 number. Also 711. The episode all about the tower sacrifice. And 7 times 11 is your 77 World Trade Center Pentagon number, Elvis death year number. And again, 135 is the 102nd composite. I've already mentioned that. 63 is the 44th composite. 54 is both the 37th composite, and the 54th composite is 76. George Bush Jr. birth date, 9/11 president. And something else they use to combat Glory, called the Dagon Sphere. Get your big 1110 number in reverse Sumerian, both your 111 and 110 numbers. 570 here. Remember, Michelle Trachtenberg died on the 57th day of the year. The 112th composite is 147. Golden Gate Bridge opened on the 147th day of the year. 5/8, aside from being Erica's wedding date and the stand premiere date, is also the 41st composite. The 58th composite is your 81. Remember, the 81st day of the year is 322, Michelle's reverse birth date. 185 is the 142nd composite. The 142nd day of the year is 522, when the Tower Sacrifice episode of Buffy, The Gift, aired. Also Memphis's founding date. Sums up to 228 in the divisors. 672. Remember that 814 is the 226th day of the year, and Michelle died on 226. 672 is also the 550th composite, your 55 Satan number. Sums up to 2016, which is basically your 21684. And check out this triangular 226 with a 128. Michelle died on 226. 128 is 58. Erica wedding date, the Stan premiere date. 497 is the 402nd composite. You know all about the 42 and the 42 date. And in Latin, 350. Check out that triangular number. A 614 Trump birth date with a 25. Michelle died in the year 25. Now let's get to the death of Catherine O'Hara. Remember, she had that scene from Home Alone 2 with John Candy behind her. She also was good friends with John Candy through SCTV. In fact, John Candy died on her 40th birthday. John Candy died March 4th, 1994. She died January 30th of this year. Going from his death date to her death date, exactly 11,655 days. As your 611 with your 55 Satan number. And of course, 655 plus 11 equals 666. Now, what are the odds? I ask you that. And it gets better because John Candy was born on Halloween. And here we have 31 years, 10 months, 26 days. This right here is 10/31 Halloween, when Candy was born. And guess what that adds up to? 31 plus 10 plus 26 is 67, your Elvis Jesse Water number. Also, how interesting, given how important Trachtenberg is to everything, which I think I've very well proven by now, that we have a 226 in the months and the days. 382 months, 26 days. 38 days before 226 is January 19th, your 119, or backwards 9/11. And if you want to go 38 days after, it's April 5th, or your 4/5. Trump, of course, the 4/5/4/7 president. And 382 plus 26 is 408 for your 48. And if you want another 666, just look over here in the weeks, because it's 1,665 weeks. Add that 1 to 665, you get yourself another 666. So that's 2666, going from Candy's death to O'Hara's death. And don't forget, not only was this John Candy's death date, but it was her birthday, her 40th birthday. And you know what's even more strange about this, really, if you look at it? Not only does this have John Candy's October 31st birthday here, but O'Hara died on 1/30/26. You can drop either of these ones, of course, because they're reset numbers. 1/30/26. Get what I'm saying? And don't forget the weirdly John Candy coded film Weapons, released on 8/8, the Lionsgate portal date, starring Amy Madigan, who played Uncle Buck's girlfriend. Going from that film's release to O'Hara's death, 5 months, 22 days. That's the Memphis founding date, 5/22, and the Buffy episode, The Gift, air date. Also 175 days, say it like they do in the UK, it's 17/5, May 17th, the 137th day of the year, when Shannon last appeared on Charmed in Season 3, Episode 22. The same year, they aired the Tower Sacrifice episode on 5/22. Remember, Amy Madigan plays Gladys Lilly in Weapons. Born September 11th, 1950. Well, get a load of how many days there are between Madigan's birth and O'Hara's birth. 1,270 days. That's your 12-7 Pearl Harbor numbers. Buildings 127. 217 is the number in weapons. That's those numbers mixed around. I mean, what are the odds, right? And don't forget that 12 times 7 is 84, which of course means that 12 times 70 is 840. And it's also 41 months, 21 days. Now this can be looked at in two different ways. Remember 4/1/89 was when the Seattle Space Needle prank took place. That means you can go from that date to 4/21 when the Space Needle has its birthday, or you can just drop the 1 because it's a reset number and it is 4/21, the Space Needle's birthday. And again, Candy died on O'Hara's 40th birthday. But look at the numbers in the days. 14,610. Of course, there's a 14/6, 6/14 Trump birth date in there. Also 480 months. And 4 plus 1 is 5. 6 plus 1 is 7. 5, 7. Michelle died on the 57th day of the year, and 5/7 is the 127th day of the year. And guess what happens if you include the end date? It's 14,611 days. Both your 6/11 and your Trump birthday together, going from her birth date to Candy's death date, her 40th birth date. Again, pure insanity. And I showed this madness in my weapons Charlie Kirk decode, but it's worth re-showing, going from Madigan's birthday to Candy's death date. 521 months, 21 days. Remember that the Pearl Harbor film premiered on 5/21 in 2001. And what is 21 days after 5/21? 6/11. And here we have the premiere date again with a 43, and Candy died at the age of 43. And here you have your Trump portal infinity number, your 88 with your 15. 15 plus 880 is 895. 895 is the 740th composite number, 7/4. And this year, all about the 7/4 250-year anniversary of the country. 2,268 weeks and 4 days. That's a 226 Trachtenberg death date with your 84. Now, John Hurd, who played the dad in Home Alone, and Part 2, of course, died on July 21st, 2017. That's our 12/7 twice. Our 217 weapons number. And note that he was also in Cat People, which I've talked about, which released on 4/2/82. Now, from his death to O'Hara's, 3,115 days. And 3 times 11 times 5 is 165. Again, Trump born on the 165th day of the year. Also, 102 months, 9 days. You know all about the 102. I've been talking about it a lot. But 102 plus 9 is 111. And again, the Space Needle opened on the 111th day of the year. 9/11 leaves 111 days remaining in the year. Also 445 weeks, a 44 kill number with your 45. Of course, that means if you include the end date, it's 3,116 days. You're backwards 6/11. 116 plus 3 is 119. You're backwards 9/11. And of course, 3 plus 1 is 4. 6 plus 1 is 7. You're 4/7. Hurd died 12,895 days after the release of Cat People. 1 plus 2 is 3. 8 plus 9 plus 5 is 22. 322 Skull and Bones. Remember, Barry Berenson was in Cat People, who supposedly was on one of the so-called planes on 9/11. And since Hurd died on the Pearl Harbor numbers, going from his death date to the 84-year anniversary of Pearl Harbor, 3,061 days. 6 plus 1 is 7. This could be your 37 EL number. Also, 61 plus 30 would be 91. That could be a 910 Charlie Kirk number because you would drop the 0. And 30 times 61 is 1,830. 8 plus 3 is 11. 111, drop the 0. Again, space and you'll open on the 111th day of the year. 9/11 leaves 111 days remaining in the year. It's also 8 years, 4 months, 16 days. You have your 8-4 with your backwards 6/14 Trump birthday. How perfect is that? And speaking of perfect, it's also exactly 100 months, 16 days. 100 plus 16 is 116. Your backwards 6/11, upside down 9/11. And to finish this off, 2 very interesting gematria calculations. Check out John Hurd's full name in gematria. Gives us our 111, our 57, our 666 in Sumerian, our big upside down 91101 number in reverse Sumerian. Remember that the Seattle Space Needle opened on the 111th day of the year. 9/11 leaves 111 days remaining in the year. Michelle Trachtenberg died on the 57th day of the year. Seattle Slew died on 5/7, which is the 127th day of the year. Hurd was in Cat People, which is a very 9/11 coded film. Remember, with Barry Berenson, who supposedly died on 9/11. In fact, the 186 prime is 1109, you're backwards 9/11. And 60, of course, is the 42nd composite number, and the 60th composite is 84. And don't forget, Super Bowl 60 is coming up in Levi's Stadium. And the other thing I wanted to put into the gematria calculator, it says that O'Hara recalled getting the weirdest mix of phone calls when co-star Candy died on her 40th birthday. Of course, they put that out there for a reason. Weirdest mix of phone calls in Sumerian. 1650, of course, Trump born on the 165th day of the year. Trump was in Home Alone 2. The 121st day of the year is May Day, the day of pagan sacrifice. It equals 1885 in Latin. And check out the composite 2216 and the prime number 16223. That's a 162611 combined with your backwards 322 skull and bones. So you have your 162 and your 216 both in the primes in the composite of 1885. Of course, you've got that 1080 there, which is basically your 1/8. But to cap this off and put the nail in the coffin, in ordinal, 275. And 275 is the 216th composite number, our 8-4. So, I rest my case. All glory to God, and thank you for watching.